Good morning and happy Sunday. Thank you so much for watching Sunday Kickoff. I am Fidel Barraza. Alongside with me, like always, Walter Stringer, Kendall Whitley, Jerry Martinez. Good morning, gentlemen. I hope you guys had a good Thanksgiving.
Not how you start, but it's how you finish, right? So overall, it's always great to spend time with family. Of course, watch football and get refocused on what's ahead.
Yes, sir. That's right, man. Another week. We chiming on down here. Got about another month and a half of the season left. So this right here is when, as Coach Belichick says, football starts after Thanksgiving. So let's get it.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting seeing the fact that nobody's really pulling away right now. About 3, 4 weeks ago, we all thought the Eagles were going to hands down win that division. That's no guarantee right now. The Buffalo Bills have their issues they're going through currently right now in the AFC East. They got a Dolphin team and a Jet team right there sitting on their necks right now. And the Chiefs, for the most part, they look like to me the best team in the league right now. They're going through their route the way they're going through it. They look the most consistent, and they have a chance today to really distance themselves, I think, completely from everyone else.
Yeah, and with that being said, let's recap Thanksgiving action. We had three games on the slate. The early game was Buffalo at Detroit. Buffalo pulling out that last second win, 28-25. The Giants visiting the Dallas Cowboys. The score, it's a little bit closer than what the game actually was in the second half. Giants 20, Cowboys 28. And the Patriots visiting the Minnesota Vikings. That was a really exciting game. A lot of points that I thought were not going to be scored. Patriots 26, Vikings 33. What stood out to you guys the most on Thursday?
The Detroit Lions are finally starting to be a cohesive team, man. I mean, they almost got that win against a Buffalo Bills that had been kind of streaky at as of the last couple of weeks. So I'll tell you this: the future looks extremely bright for the Detroit Lions. They and then they have the ammunition with 2 first-round picks to just get even better come
Yep.
next season. So the Detroit Lions, I think, in the next maybe season or 2 could possibly be NFC North leaders and maybe even divisional, the actual divisional keepers. Because I'll tell you this, the way the Vikings have been playing, especially the Patriots, man, they're in that game. The Patriots kind of had their number up until the end, right? But still, Lions are the future of the NFC North.
I'm gonna go with the Patriots. I mean, last week against the Jets, we saw how one play special teams, how Marcus Jones returns the punt. Then this week here, special teams killed the Patriots. You allow a return from the Vikings. Then you had a couple special teams blunders, a couple penalties on third down. I mean, the hunt. We don't let me get into the Hunter Henry catch. Was it the catch? Was it not? Or whatever. It doesn't matter. There's different things during the game. It's 4 quarters of football. You have to play offense, defense, special teams. Offense looked good, but it seemed like when the offense is good, the defense lags. When the offense is bad, the defense. I mean, it's been one thing or another. They can't get everything on the same page for the Patriots and whatnot. So it really hurt. It really hurt the chance to beat a good Minnesota Vikings team, and that's how they won. I think Kirk Cousins looked come. There was no pressure getting on Cousins, and that was it. But it's certainly good sign from the Patriots offense because I didn't think they could get to 20. I was just hoping they could get to 17, 20 points, and they did. So I think good signs going forward, going into Buffalo next week on next Thursday.
Yep, so I'll go to the third game. I'll go with the Giants and the Cowboy game. For me, what really stood out was the fact that the Giants really can't generate any consistent offense without Saquon being the focal point of it. And if you look at the last 2 weeks against Dallas, against Detroit, I guess Detroit kind of put the blueprint out there how to really attack them. Last 2 weeks, he has 26 carries for 61 yards. So they're asking Daniel Jones to throw the ball a lot more. He's throwing the ball a lot more. He's been efficient for the most part, but he still has those crucial turnovers. So what are the Giants really going to do down the stretch? Because offensively, you can't compete with Dallas. It's over for Dallas. Dallas beat you twice. Offensively, you can't really compete with the Eagles. So are we looking at a situation where this Giant team could potentially be embarking on an epic fade
Yes.
where they started with 7-1 and wound up missing the playoffs?
Well, I know what they're going to try to do. They're going to try to sign Odell Beckham Jr. and it looks like he's scheduled for a visit on Thursday with the Giants. So that's definitely would help out because I mean I don't know about you, but I mean that receiving core there doesn't do it for me.
Question about that though. Okay, so you bring Odell in. How does he really help that much, considering the fact that now you take him away? Now who's Daniel going to throw to? He can't throw to anybody else now. So all you're going to do is basically use him as a decoy and put Daniel Jones in an even worse situation. Now he has to read half the side of the field. Like, it's not going to work for them. I just can't
Well,
see it.
my thing with Odell is if you're bringing him in at this point, you already lost Robinson, you lost Tony, you lost Shepard. I mean, I can go. You don't have nothing there. Richie James he got special teams. He's fumbling the ball on special teams like he did in Seattle. I mean, you ain't got the Darius Slayton, maybe David Seals or whatever. So you bring Odell in at this point right now. You bring him in to be the savior. I mean, to be a number one, be your best receiver, and we're almost at Christmas.
Off of
You
ACL.
got Yeah, you got off the ACL. I ain't even
Yeah.
mentioned that later on in the year. I just don't I don't see it. I mean, yeah, they can give him the most money, but he's coming in being the savior at Christmas around Christmas time.
But I mean, for me, I don't think that's the most ideal situation for Odell, though. I mean, for him to come in
Right.
and just be the number one right off the bat, he's coming off that huge injury. And I know he says he's recovered, but we know these things kind of take time to kind of like for you to feel comfortable. So I don't know if that's the best situation for him.
Daniel L. Johnson. Yeah, I think the Giants are going to fade. Just to
Yeah.
get back to Memorial Drive, they've been trying to hide Daniel Jones all season, and then against Darnell Johnson, I don't know if OBJ can hold up as being the savior.
He's
And, you know,
been hurt the past couple of seasons. He's been hurt. I know the Browns cut him last year. They cut him, but he's been hurt. And then that's the same knee. Like so, I mean, back to what you said, Fidel. You don't know if that's the best situation. I've always said that, and I remain stance on my stance. That I think Baltimore is the best. Then Baltimore's interested in him now. Kansas City interested. Buffalo got a visit set up with him. The Giants. I always thought if it was just going to be the Giants and the Cowboys, those two teams, I think he'd go to Dallas over the Giants. But now that these three more teams have gotten in there on it, it kind of hurts the Cowboys' chances. I think the Cowboys look good without him.
Hey,
yeah, we don't need OBJ. OBJ can go be OBJ wherever he wants.
and then not to kind of switch subjects, but the one injury we didn't talk about from Thursday was Von Miller, and he might be done for the year. It's not a torn ACL, but apparently it's other injuries. So we're still waiting to kind of hear if he's going to be done for the season.
There's a replay of it in slow mo. You can see where his knee literally goes from left to right. His actual kneecap just completely comes off the bone. It's weird, man.
If he's not out for the year, probably
Oh,
to about later on in the year. I mean, he's going to be out for a little bit.
Well, I mean, Kendall, we
Yeah.
only have 6 weeks left in the season.
They said 1 week, Kendall.
Huh?
1 week.
They said that he was going to be out 1 week right now. Early prognosis.
I don't know.
That shit.
I think they said they're still running tests though. They're still trying to see or whatnot. But that 1 week they play a team next Thursday, so I mean that's good.
Oh, Ralphie.
Yeah, I'm sure you're happy. But to me, I mean, for the rest of the season, it's really going to determine if Daniel Jones is going to be back in New York next season. It really does, because he's due to be a free agent. I mean, Brian Daboll, what do you do at quarterback? The draft class is interesting. The free agency class is interesting, right? Jimmy Garoppolo is probably going to be a free agent. So it's the rest of the season, it's kind of like, all right, what do we do with Daniel Jones? And I know he doesn't have any help, but he's got to play better too.
Yeah, I mean, he hasn't played poorly though. He just hasn't played good enough. And that's the thing. And it hasn't really been fair. If you look at what he's had since he's been in New York around him, as far as the surrounding talent, they haven't been able to have a healthy wide receiver in about 3 years since they had one.
And they paid Galladay from Detroit all that money,
Exactly,
agency and whatnot. And did he even get on the field?
No,
last other day.
Sterling Shepard showed promise.
Hurt.
Never could stay healthy. Slayton showed promise. Never could stay healthy. Ingram showed promise. Very inconsistent. Traded him out. So it's like, if you look at what do you really want him to do? Now
I do got a feeling
that's
that
not a
I still
license
think
for
they're
him to be a turnover machine though. But still, like, if a guy goes 29 for 36, 320, 2 touchdowns, 1 interceptions, typically you think that stat line is good enough to win, and he's doing that in a lot of games with that current stable receivers he has.
Nobody.
So exactly. So
Yeah.
it's like, do you really want him, or is it like it comes down to whether or not you want to believe in him. If you believe in him, you'll look at it as the glass half full and say, well, you know what, I haven't done enough to really help him. Maybe if I give him some legit guys out wide and give him a good tight end, things can happen. If you don't like him, it's like, well, the guy had 3 years to prove it. Screw it, get rid of him.
Yeah.
It's not really fair for the guy, honestly.
Well, I mean, it's not that it's fair, but Brian Daboll didn't draft him,
Oh no,
right?
I
But
know. Yeah,
but I will say this: they brought him in because they're trying to make him a Josh Allen, which is what Memorial Drive is saying here. If they make the playoffs, Daniel Jones keeps his job. If not, he gone.
Nah, he gone.
I'll tell you this: what they're trying to do with Brian DeBall is trying to get him in a similar system as to what Josh Allen is. Because if you look what Josh Allen did, strong arm and can run. That's kind of what Daniel Jones can do. But Daniel Jones is not Josh Allen. That's what the Giants need to. It's the Giants owner because it's the owner who loves his kid so much.
but don't you think he would throw the ball a lot more from the pocket if they had guys getting open? The offensive line has been pretty decent this year. They just
Yeah,
haven't had guys getting open.
it has. And then you look at their schedule. They got a tough schedule. They got the Colts, Eagles twice. They got Washington again. Like they got a tough schedule. So I don't think they're gonna make it in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Galladay can't get open. Never
Christopher
could.
Cruz, what's going on with Galladay?
He just stealing money.
About it. I want to say it was. I think about a year ago. I remember Walt saying that Galladay was better than Amari Cooper.
Yeah, I did. I'm pretty sure I did. And here you go.
Whoa.
Work. He works a cowboy into every single section. Every second he works the Cowboys into every segment.
I'm just saying. I remember that it became something big on East West, man. I mean, I remember that thread was freaking alive when I said
Somebody pull up.
top 10 wide receiver, and you're
Somebody
like,
pull up Galladay's stats since he's been with the Giants. I don't even think he had 50 catches.
Oh, look.
oh,
How
Walt,
convenient. Walt froze.
yeah, he froze. But I hate to call people out, but it wasn't just Walt because it was a bunch of East West that came after me when I said Mark Cooper was a top 10, maybe even French top 5 wide receiver in the league. And they're like, no, you got to put Galladay at 7. I'm like, Galladay? But here we are now, and we see what Galladay is, and we see what Amari Cooper is, so it's a big difference. But I wasn't trying to make no Cowboy thing out of it. But yeah, I will say this: the Cowboys had 42 million viewers on Thanksgiving, so I know that means all of us were watching the Dallas Cowboys on Thanksgiving.
Of course we were.
Somebody was hoping for
Dallas Cowboys.
a lot of us were cheering for him. A lot of them were hoping for that giant win, though. I will say that.
I was hoping for 3 good games, and that's what we got. So thankful for that. But with that being said, what stood out to me was the Lions. I mean, they really had some opportunities to win this football game, and Buffalo was struggling.
Buffalo ain't blowing people away like everybody predicted preseason and going out stretch last year, man. Like they can be beat.
I think that Von Miller injury is going to be big, though. And I know Jerry said that he's only going to supposedly going to miss a week.
It's gonna be more than a week.
I don't know. It's got to be more than 2 weeks, man.
I don't know. I don't know how. It looks like he actually needs surgery to repair that, Tucker, man. That thing looked like it came off. Man.
Yeah, I don't think he's back no time. And then they already missing Rusu. Terrell Edmonds is out.
Yep.
Micah Hyde is out. They got somebody else is out. I think Booth, Tre'Davious White just getting his feet wet.
Yeah.
No, you're absolutely right, man. This is an ugly situation for the Buffalo Bills to be in right now.
Perfect segue. Speaking of ugly, the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers came out early in the week saying that he's basically been playing with a broken thumb since that London game between the Giants and the Packers. Packers are in a dire situation now. They need to win tonight in Philadelphia. Essentially, they need to win out. They cannot afford to lose any more games. So, can the Packers pull the upset in Philadelphia on Sunday Night Football?
They can. And I know a couple weeks ago they played Dallas and nobody picked them to beat the Cowboys, and what happened, they did. Aaron Rodgers, I don't know if y'all remember, but a few years ago when he used the term RELAX, relax, that first game was in Philadelphia at Lincoln Financial Field, if y'all don't remember. And he came in and nobody picked them. They were struggling. Not as bad they are now, but they were struggling. And he lit Philly up. It's been some years though. The year that he said relax. And they went on the stretch and they think they went deep in the playoffs that year. I don't think they won it all, but Yeah, that was I'd relax on them right now. But going into Philly, and Philly hasn't been blowing nobody away the past couple of weeks. They came into the wire last week against the Colts. They lost to Washington 2 weeks ago in Monday Night Football. This is Green Bay coming in off a loss or whatnot, and they're angry, they're mad or whatnot. And I think coming to Philly they're dealing with some injuries too. I know Goddard is still out, Davis is still out, so this ain't gonna be no cupcake game. But I do think if they lose today, I think Aaron Rodgers probably won't be playing the rest of the year. I think they'll probably sit him out. What is he playing for, or whatnot? So I think he'll probably sit out and just let his future questions, let the questions for his future begin. But we'll get to that another time.
It's like I feel like I'm almost like ahead of the curve because didn't I say this like a couple of weeks ago, and everybody was like looking at me like if I was like talking crazy, but I mean it's truthful. I mean, but I will say this: Aaron Rodgers has a 4-2 record against the Eagles, so when that record's a little bit on his favor, I mean he knows what he's doing against these teams, so. I think he's faced off against the Cowboys a little bit more, so he knows. I don't want to say he knows the Cowboys, but he knows the atmosphere. You know what I mean? He knows how it is to play at AT&T Stadium, and whatnot. So this is definitely a team. This is definitely a game that all Cowboy fans are going to be tuning into. Because we want the Eagles to go down. Because obviously, it helps us to position ourselves to uh, when it comes to facing them, it would help us to maybe perhaps get that first seed, which is still up for grabs. You know what I mean? So it's definitely a game that we're all cheering for. But Eagles still relatively strong. They re-upped during a week ago. They got two defensive tackles and whatnot. So we'll see, man. It's gonna be interesting. Uh, the playoff picture is still really broad, still really very wide. So all these games today are going to dictate a lot in the coming weeks, especially for the playoff picture.
All right, we got Walt Dollar chiming in. Green Bay done for the year. I think they are in rebuild stage. I'm going to say no. Green Bay is not done. You know why? Because I think they're going to win tonight. But in order for them to win this football game, they're going to have to run the ball with AJ Dillon and Aaron Jones, and not have everything on Aaron's back. They got to get off to a quick start. The Eagles, I feel, are a better football team, but I think the Packers, they have a lot more to play for because essentially they're playing for their playoff lives. They lose tonight, it's over.
Yeah, so I mean, I think they're all what you said is all facts. If they can get that running game going, I think that takes a lot of load off of Aaron Rodgers. But they need to find a wide receiver that they can feed the ball to early, and so down the in the middle of the game they can feed him more. He'll be confident.
I think Dobbs is still out, I believe, too.
Is Christian Watson? Is he
Christian
still?
Watson isn't out?
No, I said Dobbs. Romeo Dobbs.
I know, but is Watson healthy right now?
Watson healthy, as far as I know.
You can never trust that kid, man. I mean, he's young.
Hey, man, get Robert Tonyan involved. I mean, get the running game going. That's what you got to do to win. Get the running game going.
I mean, bro, when you're 3-7, 4-7, whatever it is, it's too late to say, "Hey, let's get this going, get this going." You should have did that a month ago.
Yeah, but Kendall, I mean, essentially now is their new season, right? Because essentially now they cannot lose any more games. They cannot afford to lose anything at all. That was a huge loss when they lost to Tennessee last week. So, and they've had about 10 days to prepare for the Eagles. So I expect
that's what I'm saying. It's a sneaky game because they've had a little extra time. Philly has not been like that the past 2 weeks, man. They barely beat the Colts.
Well, the thing is that they're on the bubble, right? So on the bubble teams right now, if you want to segment to the next segment.
Right? Let's see if we can pull up the screen.
Well, right now on the bubble is the Commanders at 8th, Falcons at 9th, Lions at 10, Packers are 11, Saints are in it, 12, Cardinals are in it at 13, Rams are still in it at 14, Panthers are in it 15, Bears are in it at 16. That's a mouthful. But Packers at 4-7, Lions at 4-7, Falcons at 5-6, and Commanders at 6-5. These are teams that are on the bubble. They're all playing today, man. So it's gonna be very important matchups.
That Washington Atlanta game is a very underrated game. Nobody's talking about this. It can have serious playoff implications because the Washington, believe it or not, I think they won 3 straight, or is it 2? How many? When they last lost? They just beat Houston. They're playing some good ball right now.
I'll tell you right now.
think they on like they on a little streak, I believe. I think their last loss was to the Vikings, I believe.
All right, and then I actually have the current playoff picture, so I'm just gonna go
Washington
through it
playing
real
some
quick.
good ball. Nobody's talking about. And Chase Young back today, I think.
All right, so obviously we got 1 Kansas City, 2 Buffalo, 3 Tennessee, 4
It's the
Baltimore,
AFC now. Yeah.
AFC. Dolphins at 5, Bengals at 6, Jets at 7, and then on the bubble, the Patriots. That was a huge loss at Minnesota. We got the Chargers. They play the Cardinals today, and then we got
That's another playoff picture right there.
Mm-hmm.
Game. Well, more for the Chargers. I think the Cardinals are kind of really out of it.
Kyler Murray is going to be playing today, though. I don't know if that's going to make a difference, but he will be.
Hollywood Brown back too.
Yeah.
All right. I forget about Kyler Murray. That guy's probably playing Call of Duty right now.
Yeah. And then let's look at the NFC standings. So we got Eagles at 1, Vikings at 2, Niners at 3, Buccaneers at 4, Cowboys at 5, Giants at 6. And we got the Seahawks at 7. And then on the bubble, we got the Washington Commanders, Atlanta Falcons, Detroit Lions. And then you got the Packers right underneath them.
Commanders are on a 2-game winning streak.
Yeah. Last loss to the Vikings, right?
49ers. I was going to name off some of the winning streaks. 49ers are on a 3-game winning streak. This NFC Buccaneers are on a 2-game winning streak. And Bills 2-game winning streak. Dolphins 4-game winning streak. Chiefs 4-game winning streak. Ravens 4-game winning streak, and then Titans 2-game winning streak. So those are your streaks right now.
Washington don't have a bye until 2 more weeks. It's crazy. I didn't know that the team is still on bye. They got to play Tech on Atlanta today, Giants next week. Then they go on a bye. They play the Giants back-to-back weeks, and they got almost a cupcake schedule. They got the Giants, they got 49ers, they got the Cowboys. The last game, the Cowboys probably won't need that game. Washington probably can get in there and get that 7th seed.
So based off the standings, what would you guys say is the best matchup in Week 12?
Man, this is
well, I think Bengals, Titans, the early game, but Washington, Atlanta got a serious playoff implications for 2 teams in the bubble.
Man, that's kind of hard for me right now to just sit on one. I mean, I know Fidel, you were talking about Bengals and Titans. I mean, that's a great game to watch just in general because I mean, you could just say what you said about last year. What was it?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's a rematch from the divisional round in Tennessee. Tennessee lost. That was the first game Derrick Henry came back and playing after he broke his leg. So yes, I mean, it's a huge matchup because I mean, technically, Cincinnati can still win that division, but they can't afford to lose any games. Obviously, Baltimore losing too many games.
Well said. But then what you said, can the Falcons and Commanders? That's a very big game, right? Because I mean, you're talking about two teams that are fringe on the bubble that they can literally just be one win to be able to get into the playoffs.
And Tampa Bay's 5-5 going today against the Browns, but Atlanta is 5-6. Tampa played Atlanta for week 17 or whatnot, the last game of the season, and that game could be for the division. Nobody thought that game right there could be for the division in a few weeks, about another month.
Yeah,
if the Falcons keep winning.
Yeah, a lot of great matchups. Obviously, there's a lot still on the line for a lot of different teams out there. Yeah, I mean, I think that Tennessee and Cincinnati game is just going to be really good to watch. That's on the early slate of games. And then tonight,
I have all my eyes on that game.
Yeah, Packers and Eagles.
Come on, Tennessee.
All right. Well, with that being said, I do have some quick injury news. So it looks like Justin Fields is officially out. Wow. Trevor Siemian starting for the Chicago Bears. Matthew Stafford. Obviously, he's out today, but he might be down for the year.
Man,
what's been going on with the round? It's been a crazy year for the round. I think injuries, but
I think they mishandled that whole concussion situation with Matthew Stafford.
I think that roster is aging too.
That too.
I mean, it just shows you can't F them picks, man. You can't
Detroit laughing right now.
I mean, you can't F them picks. You got to build your team solid. Like, I mean, that's how you have longevity, sustainability. I'll tell you this, the Eagles are kind of on the same road, man. I mean, they had a great draft class this year, and then they just kind of, they're all in, just putting makeshifting all the superstars they can. And hey, they got some momentum. They've been able to win some games here and there, and everybody's kind of having their back as hey, they're Super Bowl. Walt named them first, saying that they were Super Bowl contenders. I mean, at this point, I mean, I don't know, man. How long is this type of team building sustainable in the NFL? Just saying, you're going to end up crashing the next year. I mean, what expense is it to get a Super Bowl?
They might have to trade some of their key players. I know they've had a bad run of bad go of it with injuries, but I mean, they might have to trade a few of these players, man, because that division with Arizona, San Francisco, Seattle got a lot of picks in 2023 draft. 49ers ain't going nowhere. Arizona, they kind of like you don't know what to get from Arizona, but I think they're gonna clean house this all season, and the Rams are probably on the outside looking in or whatnot. They got an aging roster.
Yeah.
Then you got Aaron Donald already contemplate retirement. Ramsey having sideline burst.
Sean McVay too. I mean,
Yes,
essentially,
Sean
there was a report
McVay.
that came out a couple weeks back saying that once the core of the team leaves, he's done.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
So,
Javier Zuniga.
It's my quarterback.
That's my quarterback back in high school. That's what happens when you built for 1 year. I mean, well said, Javier. I mean, he's right.
Well, they cashed in and they won the Super Bowl, but it messed up the long term.
At what expense, though, Kendall? I mean, they really set themselves back at least. I'm going to say at least 3 seasons. They set themselves back at least 3 seasons because it's a real head scratcher. We saw it. We saw at the beginning of the year. Stafford put too much on his shoulders. Stafford's never been that player. He tried to be that player for the Lions. I'm putting the whole team on his shoulders and on his strong arm, but I mean, obviously he was already injured to begin with. I forget the injury, but was it an elbow injury, Fidel?
Yeah. Before the season started, it was the elbow injury, but it was more like a baseball injury. But they kind of tried to play it down. But I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets off-season surgery.
Do y'all think they start trading some of these players in the offseason?
I mean,
to who? Who's going to pay the contracts?
Number one, they fumbled a lot this year. I mean, the whole Cam Akers was an ugly situation. Like, why didn't you just trade him? I mean, he didn't. I mean, you don't even know how to get him going.
Yeah, and I want to say something else too. Robert Woods not being on this football team also did hurt them a lot, more than what people were saying.
Hey, Robert Woods was the man there too, man. I mean, he really was. And then, well, I understand. Cooper Kupp kind of, I don't know. He just kind of turned into. Yeah, but I'm saying,
yeah, I know.
I think Cooper Kupp was the reason why they pushed Robert Woods out because I mean Cooper Kupp was the reception leader. What didn't he break the record last year? Or came close to
Triple Crown.
So, I mean, I don't know, man. Rams are the Rams right now, man. They look. I don't know how. They're sorry, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and then I do have some more injury news. So James Robinson, running back for the Jets, he's going to be inactive, but it's a healthy scratch. So that is interesting as well. Expected to play today, 49ers, Deebo Samuel, Raiders, Josh Jacobs, Saints, Alvin Kamara, out and likely to play. Bengals wide receiver, Jamar Chase. We just talked about Justin Fields. Rams, Allen Robinson. Commanders, Chase Young. And Saints, Marshawn Lattimore. And that's friend Ari.
What's the Kamara injury?
He's going to play.
Oh, okay.
Not sure what the injury is, but he's going to play.
I got a question here, Javier. Who's your surprise team for you all coming down the stretch? Ooh, man, you kind of
go with. I'm going with the Commanders.
That's kind of bold. That's kind of bold.
I'm gonna go with the Washington Commanders. Everybody's gonna pick the hot team, but I'm going with Commanders. I look at their schedule and they can get in and do some. I think they can do some. They got Chase Young coming back today. So,
man, you guys are gonna think I'm crazy. Give me the Green Bay Packers. I think they'll get on a roll.
And that's kind of a.
Their margin for error is slim, though.
It is, but at the same time, with that being said, you know that they're not gonna. Well, no, we'll have next week. Like, no, next week is gone. Like, you cannot afford to lose. You got to win every game.
I don't know why, but I'm not ready to give up on the Chargers yet, man.
Oh man, they're an enigma. I mean, I think they'll win today in Arizona.
Enigma is a great word, right? Because that enigma basically means they're a weird team, right? So they are a weird team. But the thing is that Justin Herbert he's kind of like a Josh Allen type quarterback.
If they can get healthy, Because they had the Charger team had met, if they can get healthy and all the money spent, a lot of guys been hurt. Khalil Mack's man, he's been healthy for the most part. J.C. Jackson's out, Bosa's out. I think they lost a corner or a linebacker. They got rid of Tillery, the D tackle. They if they can get healthy at the right time, the Chargers can sneak in there. They can get. I think they can do some damage too.
Mike
If
Williams
they get
sprained
healthy.
that ankle last week, I believe, on the catch that
He's
he
out.
had. So who knows how long he's going to be out. Keenan
Is
Allen
Allen-
is working his way back.
Yeah.
Austin Eckler, I mean, he's the one that's been carrying the load with Justin Herbert, but man, it's crazy. And
They gotta
Justin
get healthy,
Herbert's
man. They gotta get healthy.
yeah. So yeah, we'll see. But yeah, Packers for me.
I mean, I'm cheering for the Packers today, so let's see.
The only time a Cowboy be cheering for the Packers today.
Yeah,
For the Eagles' divisional opponent.
yeah. I mean, that's the only reason.
Well,
I mean,
I'm cheering for Tennessee.
ooh, we got another great question, Javier. Coach of the year so far, man.
Coach of the year.
Oof, that's a great question, man. I don't
Are
think
you going based off record or overall performance? Because I mean, there's a couple different ways you can go about it. I mean, Nick
If
Sirianni,
this team,
who's got the best record in the league.
if the Giants make the playoffs, I'm gonna go with Dayball.
man.
That's a big gift.
I want to say Dan Campbell, man, because everybody kind of was counting him out, and these Lions are freaking showing us something different, man. He said performance. So
Performance.
Oh, then you got to go Nick Sirianni at this point. He's 9-1.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. Nick Sirianni's too emotional, bro. He's not a leader of men, bro. That guy's just more of a hype man. He's more of a cheerleader for anything, man. That guy.
I got a better one for you. Kevin O'Connell, Minnesota Vikings.
I think you be giving him way too much credit, man.
Performance, that's just based off performance. So I'll go with them too.
Give me Dan Campbell. I kind of there I go again. But I'm kind of very surprised by Jeff Saturday, man. I'll tell you this: Jeff Saturday, I think is better coach than a lot of these coaches in the NFL right now, and that's because he's just an intern drinking. He was a drinking buddy that became an intern coach.
But you got to think about it too. I think a lot of the success that he's having too is due to the coordinators. That's a big part of it too.
I like the fact that he came in and instantly put Matt Ryan back in the game.
Yes.
And I think he's probably gonna be the coach next year. And I think the Colts are one of them teams. They got a pretty good defense that's deep. That defense for the Colts is legit. It's for real. They got to run the back, get the offensive line figured out, and get some speed on offense. Get your quarterback. I think the Colts and that division is weak. I mean, I know Jacksonville gonna have a lot of money next year, and they always spend a lot of money in the offseason, but that division is winnable. Tennessee ain't really. I mean, they've had the Colts number the past few years, but I think their quarterback, offensive line, some speed at receiver away from lead the defense. On defense is fine. Get the quarterback, get that line right. Get you a wide receiver, a number one, and I think the Colts will be there right there.
I think you're right, man. Because I'll tell you this: like the way he said it, he's a leader of men, and wow, man, that locker room really, stepped up for him. So. It's surprising to see. It's crazy that we would see this in the modern day NFL. But hey, it is what it is. And like you said, you get yourself some good coordinators. You know how to manage the game, and you know how to lead a team. Shoot, you got a whole 360, and he did that like in less than a week, man. And
Matt Ryan had no business being benched, honestly.
Yeah, I mean,
I know he struggled, but he had no business being benched.
That's a great point. That's all I'm gonna say on that.
Cool. All right. Well, with that being said, thank you everyone out there for watching. Enjoy the games. Enjoy your Sunday. We'll talk to you guys next week. See ya.